Chapter 48. A single strike. The break was a short one to allow the final 10 to regain their composure from the last battles. None of them had any substantial injuries from the previous fights. The old man declared the beginning of the third round. The crowd was burning with enthusiasm at the upcoming battles. Amongst the 10 people qualified for this round, 6 of them were at the Ling Qi layer. Duo Ming couldn't be as strong as them but was still extremely strong. There were only 3 people in whom the crowd wasn't very interested. Thus, most of the fights were going to be fascinating. This was going to be an entertaining show. There were some stages which strongly attracted people's attention. On one of them, 2 participants of the Ling Qi layer were going to fight, Chu Lan against Lin Hong. The other battle which drew people's attention was Ji Yuyan against Duo Ming. The other 3 battles were not that interesting. Lin Feng, Lin Qian as well as Wen Zhang could immediately conclude and move on to the next round. The predictions of the crowd were almost completely accurate. Those facing Lin Feng and Lin Qian had immediately given up. Wen Zhang had been fighting against Feng Qian. Even though Feng Qian had fought with all his strength, Wen Zhang had easily won the battle after 3 hits. Feng Qian had been blown off the stage with an explosive force. Wen Zhang hadn't even used all his strength to deal with Feng Qian. The difference between a cultivator of the Ling Qi layer and one of the Qi layers was too big. If they fought, the result was usually obvious. At this moment, the crowd was currently paying attention to the fight between Chu Lan and Lin Hong. They were both followed with great interest by the crowd and the victor of this battle was not clear. On the northern stage, Ji Yuyan was looking at Lin Feng with an ice-cold look and killing intent had completely filled his eyes. He had a murderous look and an evil grin on his face. What a stroke of luck. He had eventually been chosen to fight against Lin Feng. If Lin Feng didn't give up, Ji Yuyan would kill him and avenge Ji Yuqing Jr.'s death. He hated Lin Feng so much that he could feel it in his bones. If you are too scared to fight, then hurry up and get lost. Don't make us respectable cultivators lose face, said Ji Yuyan looking at Lin Feng with a mocking gaze. Lin Feng, as usual, was standing there calm and quiet. Then he said in a cold and detached tone, "You don't need to try and provoke me into a fight with you. Don't worry, I was never planning to run away from you." When Ji Yuyan heard Lin Feng's words, he laughed demonically. He had managed to make Lin Feng angry enough to fight and had made sure he would not surrender without giving Ji Yuyan his revenge. He wouldn't have thought that Lin Feng would actually accept his challenge so easily. How ignorant. I will teach you what it means to have broken through to the Ling Qi layer. There is a huge difference between me and you, thought Ji Yuyan while smiling coldly. He didn't even release his spirit because it might scare Lin Feng away and make him surrender the fight. Immediately after, Ji Yuyan started walking slowly towards Lin Feng. At that moment, about 10 steps were separating Lin Feng and him when he suddenly started moving his hand. An extremely strong explosion spread through the atmosphere in Lin Feng's direction. An amazingly intense energy was blocking the sky and covering the earth to the extent it was impossible to see Lin Feng at the moment. "You will die for having dared to provoke me and the members of my clan," shouted Ji Yuyan. A second wave of intense power was moving towards Lin Feng. Even if Lin Feng couldn't endure the first attack, he would kill Lin Feng no matter what. He wanted to kill Lin Feng more than anything. He would not allow Lin Feng to leave this arena alive. Otherwise, he, the best young disciple of the Jiyu clan, would lose face and it would be a humiliation for the Jiyu clan. At the moment when his powerful attack was going to crash onto Lin Feng's body, Ji Yuyan was already grinning with a cruel smile and was patiently awaiting the screams of pain. However, at that moment, the same resplendent light as before radiated in the atmosphere and filled the whole sky. The energy of Ji Yuyan's attack started looking like it was being torn apart like paper. It was growing weaker and seemed like it was going to vanish at any moment. "Die!" shouted Ji Yuyan loudly, looking unaffected. He moved his hand and immediately added some force into the previous wave that seemed like it was going to collapse. The attack that he unleashed had looked like it could topple the mountains and overturn seas. This attack was more than enough to kill an opponent who had broken through to the Ling Qi layer. "I refuse." Boom. The voice who which loudly said, "I refuse," sounded calm and indifferent. A sword chi suddenly emerged, and it looked like it could pierce the heavens themselves. Ji Yuyan's energy shattered into tiny pieces. His chi had completely vanished. There was only the light of the sword which seemed to be standing above everything within the universe. "Ling Qi layer," said Ji Yuyan looking deathly pale. How could he have not anticipated that Lin Feng could have been hiding his actual strength? He was too arrogant and conceited. The sword looked desolate, and it smelt like death. It was emanating a piercingly cold chi which seemed to have an unstoppable destructive power. That sword user was conquering everything that laid in his path. His power couldn't be stopped. The sword suddenly slashed out with incredible destructive power. It felt like it was consuming everything around it. "Not good," shouted Ji Yuqing Sr., who had turned pale with fright. He stood up, but it seemed like it was too late already. Ji Yuyan had been saying he would kill Lin Feng in one hit all along. His quick surprise attack hadn't even given him a small advantage. At that moment, he was unable to counterattack and was even more unable to block the sword attack. A stream of blood spilled out from Ji Yuyan's throat. Ji Yuyan, who had reached the Ling Qi layer, fell lifelessly onto the floor, his head rolling across the floor of the arena. This was also the first time that a cultivator of the Ling Qi layer had died so far during the tournament. He had died in a single strike. You are listening to Peerless Martial God audio on light novel Aloud. At that moment, all the members of the Jiyu clan stood up. They were looking at Lin Feng in despair. They were shaking with anger and fear. The sight of their clan's bright future lying headless on the floor of the stage made them feel desperate. "I will kill you," shouted Ji Yuqing Sr. so loudly that it hurt people's ears. Lan Shang frowned and said, "Head of the Jiyu clan, how dare you? Have you forgotten that this is a tournament which was organized by the Lan clan?" Ji Yuqing Sr. looked at Lan Shang completely shocked. He did not think anyone would stand in his way of removing an insignificant bug. He eventually groaned in dissatisfaction and sat down. However, from the way Ji Yuqing Sr. was looking at Lin Feng, it was obvious that he was never going to let him off. What? Ji Yuyan died, like the other before, in a single strike? Many people who were initially watching the fight between Chu Lan and Lin Hong were astonished. Lan Shang and Ji Yuqing Sr. had drawn their attention when shouting. When they saw Ji Yuyan's head, which had been separated from his body, they turned pale. Many people were regretting that they had missed such a wonderful battle. They hadn't thought that the battle would turn out to be that interesting and that a young disciple of the Ling Qi layer would actually get killed, especially by an extremely strong and mysterious young man called Duo Ming. All of us have made an error of judgment. Duo Ming has also broken through to the Ling Qi layer. He's incredibly strong. His strength enables him to move on to the next round. Not only the crowd thought that, but Lan Shang, while looking at Lin Feng's back, who was getting down off the stage, had a similar thought. This young man could defeat cultivators of the Qi layer in a single strike with his sword, but he could also defeat cultivators of the Ling Qi layer in one hit. He is terrifyingly strong. Nobody had realized his potential before. At that moment, the other battle had also finished and was won by Chu Lan. She had won against Lin Hong. At that point, all those selected to continue to the next round were known: Lan Feng, Lin Qian, Wen Zhang, Chu Lan and Duo Ming. The two who did not belong to a powerful clan had won again, Chu Lan and Duo Ming. The Jiyu clan had no participant anymore, and their top two disciples had been beheaded by Lin Feng. The old man announced a short break again. Fourth round, Lin Qian can wait. Lan Feng will fight against Wen Zhang and Chu Lan will fight against Duo Ming. The crowd was really excited. The last battles were finally going to start. Lan Feng's strength was obviously incredible. Wen Zhang, however, was even stronger than Lan Feng and Lin Qian, as he had already broken through to the second Ling Qi layer. These battles were going to be very exciting. There was also that incredibly strong Duo Ming who had killed 3 people with a single strike. His battle against Chu Lan was probably going to be the same sort of battle. Now that the strongest disciples had been decided, the battles would now take place on the main stage. The first battle was going to be between Lan Feng and Wen Zhang. "Wen Zhang, you are quite strong, but as before, you will not fight against me," said Lan Feng in an extremely arrogant way, sounding like a royalty talking down to a servant, showing disdain for everything and everyone. "Ha, I broke through to the second Ling Qi layer. You are only at the first Ling Qi layer, you should be the one giving up," Wen Zhang said, contradicting her. "What a moron," shouted Lan Feng while releasing her spirit. Immediately after, her divine arm spirit had appeared behind her back. The most shocking thing was that her divine arm spirit slightly differed from that of Lan Chen, who had been killed by Lin Feng. Her divine arm spirit was gold. It looked like the gold light radiating from the arm couldn't be stopped by anything. "Only a golden divine arm spirit can be regarded as a perfect divine arm spirit," said Lan Shang while smiling. In 100 years, Lan Feng was the only one to have a golden divine arm spirit when her spirit was awakened. She definitely deserves to be called the Princess of Yangzhou City. She has a golden divine arm spirit and it looks so strong and powerful. The crowd was shivering and was moved by the princess at the same time. Wen Zhang thought that losing was not an option and released his spirit as well. On his back appeared a great river spirit. Great waves were unceasingly flowing with a crashing sound. That was the spirit of the Wen clan, the great river spirit. In this world, nothing can be considered bizarre, really, sighed Lin Feng while looking at the spirits released by the fighters. An arm can become a spirit, and on top of that it can be gold. Rivers could also be spirits. The number of different spirits which existed was unimaginable. Nobody could imagine how many there were. Anything could become a spirit in this world. Lin Feng was looking at Lin Qian. If his predictions were right, Lan Feng would win that battle and would then wait during the next round, which would mean that after winning against Chu Lan, he would battle against Lin Qian. End of chapter 48. Hope you guys enjoy the chapter. Please consider subscribing and hit that bell button for future updates.